In the hot summer of 1944, an American tank rolled across the roads of France and became a nightmare machine for the enemy. In just 81 days, a young Texan named Lafayette destroyed hundreds of targets, broke through defenses, and spread panic to the point that German units changed their routes just to avoid crossing his path. His results looked almost like fiction, and his nickname became a symbol of terrifying precision. But the brighter the rise, the sharper the fall. A single shot turned the unstoppable hunter into a casualty, and the story of his record ended at its peak. Why did his name become almost forgotten even though his achievements surpassed the most famous aces of the world? What shadows hide behind those incredible numbers? And what happened to the man who was ready to lead his crew into fire again and again? Stay until the end to uncover the secrets of a hero whose fate both amazes and unsettles. Don't forget to like, leave a comment, and subscribe. You are not here by accident. Lafayette Green Poole entered the world on July 23, 1919, in Odom, Texas. This small farming community south of Corpus Christi shaped young men through hard labor and practical problem-solving. Poole's family worked cotton and cattle, instilling the methodical approach that would later serve him in combat. Rural Texas during the 20s and 30s forged characters through necessity. Machinery broke down frequently, weather threatened crops, and success depended on quick thinking under pressure. The boy who would become America's deadliest tanker grew up understanding mechanical systems intimately. Farm equipment required constant maintenance and repair, skills that translated perfectly to armored vehicles. Poole developed an intuitive grasp of engines, transmissions, and hydraulics years before encountering his first Sherman tank. More importantly, he learned to remain calm when expensive machinery failed at critical moments. His personality reflected typical rural values: quiet competence, loyalty to friends, and fierce determination when challenged. Neighbors remembered Poole as someone who finished what he started, regardless of difficulty. These qualities remained largely dormant during his peaceful youth, but war would reveal their lethal potential. He possessed the rare combination of mechanical aptitude and instinctive aggression that creates exceptional warriors. Education came primarily through practical experience, rather than formal schooling. Poole understood leverage, angles, and mechanical advantage through daily work, rather than textbook theory. This hands-on knowledge proved invaluable when calculating firing solutions under combat stress. His rural background also developed exceptional visual acuity. Spotting distant cattle or equipment problems trained his eyes for detecting enemy positions across European landscapes. Family influences shaped his character profoundly. Poole learned responsibility early, taking care of younger siblings and helping manage farm operations. The Depression years taught him resourcefulness and the importance of making every shot count, whether hunting for family meals or conserving ammunition. These formative experiences created a foundation of practical competence that war would build upon dramatically. The draft notice arrived in 1941, pulling Poole from familiar Texas routines into an uncertain future. Like millions of young Americans, he felt little enthusiasm for military service but accepted his obligation without complaint. The transition from independent farm work to regimented army life challenged someone accustomed to managing his own schedule and solving problems individually. Basic training revealed Poole's natural leadership qualities, though he initially preferred following orders to giving them. Instructors noticed his mechanical skills and steady nerves under pressure, qualities that suggested potential for armored units. The Army's expansion created opportunities for capable men to advance quickly, and Poole's competence soon attracted attention from tank training programs. Armored warfare fascinated him immediately. The Sherman tank represented everything his mechanical background had prepared him for: complex systems requiring constant attention, powerful weapons demanding precise operation, and crew coordination essential for survival. Poole approached tank training with the same methodical intensity he had applied to farm equipment, learning every system thoroughly before moving to the next. His first crew assignments demonstrated the importance of compatibility in armored combat. Tank crews live in confined spaces under tremendous stress, making personality conflicts potentially fatal. Poole's steady temperament and technical expertise made him a valuable team member, though he had not yet developed the aggressive instincts that would make him legendary. Early training exercises showed competence rather than brilliance. The transition to platoon sergeant occurred gradually, as Poole's reliability and mechanical knowledge made him indispensable. He understood not just his own tank, but the capabilities and limitations of every vehicle in his unit. This comprehensive knowledge would prove crucial when leading combat operations, allowing him to coordinate complex maneuvers while maintaining multiple tanks in fighting condition. Overseas deployment loomed as Poole completed advanced training. The war in Europe demanded experienced tank crews, and American armored divisions prepared for the decisive campaigns that would determine the conflict's outcome. Poole embarked for England in early 1944, still unaware of the extraordinary combat record he was about to establish. Normandy introduced Poole to combat's brutal realities in June 1944. The Bocage country of northern France created perfect conditions for defensive warfare. Thick hedgerows concealed enemy positions, while narrow lanes channeled attacking armor into killing zones. German forces had months to prepare positions, laying mines and sighting anti-tank weapons with deadly precision. Poole's first engagement occurred during the breakout operations following the initial invasion. His Sherman tank, part of the 3rd Armored Division's advance, encountered German positions near Villers-Bocage. The encounter revealed both the Sherman's vulnerabilities and Poole's emerging tactical instincts. While his tank lacked the armor and firepower of German panzers, Poole compensated through aggressive maneuvering and superior crew coordination. The mechanics of tank combat favored preparation and positioning over raw firepower. Poole quickly learned to identify favorable terrain, coordinate with infantry support, and maintain communication with other vehicles. His rural background proved invaluable for reading landscape features and predicting enemy movements. More importantly, he demonstrated the rare ability to remain calm under fire while making split-second tactical decisions. Early victories built confidence throughout Poole's crew. Their Sherman tank, nicknamed In the Mood, became known for accurate gunnery and aggressive tactics. Poole developed signature techniques, using terrain features for concealment, engaging targets at optimal ranges, and withdrawing before enemy forces could respond effectively. These methods would evolve into the systematic approach that made him so devastatingly effective. The learning curve in armored combat proved exceptionally steep. Mistakes resulted in destroyed vehicles and crew casualties, creating enormous pressure to master complex skills quickly. Poole's mechanical background helped him understand his tank's capabilities precisely, while his steady nerves allowed him to exploit brief tactical opportunities that other commanders might miss. By July, Poole had established himself as one of the division's most reliable tank commanders. His ability to complete assigned missions while minimizing crew casualties attracted attention from higher command levels. More significantly, he began developing the aggressive mindset that would transform him from competent professional into legendary warrior. August 1944 marked Poole's transformation from capable tank commander to unstoppable predator. The breakout from Normandy created fluid battlefield conditions that favored his aggressive tactics and mechanical expertise. As German forces retreated across France, Pool's unit encountered numerous enemy positions, each engagement adding to his growing reputation for lethal effectiveness. His hunting methodology became refined and systematic. Pool studied enemy behavior patterns, learning to predict where German tanks and anti-tank weapons would position themselves. He developed techniques for approaching targets from unexpected angles, often using terrain features that other commanders considered impassable. This tactical creativity, combined with exceptional gunnery skills, made his Sherman tank extraordinarily dangerous, despite its technical limitations. The crew of In the Mood evolved into a precision instrument under Pool's leadership. Each member understood their role perfectly, executing complex maneuvers without verbal communication. The loader maintained ammunition supply under extreme stress. The driver navigated difficult terrain while avoiding enemy fire, and the gunner delivered accurate shots at maximum effective ranges. Pool coordinated these efforts while maintaining situational awareness across the entire battlefield. Combat statistics from this period reveal Pool's emerging dominance. His tank consistently achieved higher hit ratios than comparable units, while suffering fewer crew casualties despite engaging more enemy targets. This effectiveness stemmed from Pool's combination of technical competence and tactical innovation. He understood both his equipment's capabilities and enemy vulnerabilities, exploiting this knowledge with devastating results. German forces began recognizing the threat Pool represented to their defensive operations. Intelligence reports from captured documents indicate enemy units received warnings about an exceptionally dangerous American tank operating in specific sectors. This recognition represented unprecedented achievement for an individual tank commander, suggesting Pool's activities significantly impacted German tactical planning. The psychological effects of Pool's success extended beyond mere numbers. His crew developed supreme confidence in their commander's abilities, while supporting units learned to coordinate their operations around his tank's movements. Pool became the focal point for increasingly complex tactical operations, leading multi-tank formations against heavily defended positions with remarkable success rates. Pool's combat record during late summer 1944 reaches almost mythical proportions. His verified tally includes 12 confirmed tank kills and 258 total armored vehicles destroyed, plus over 1,000 German soldiers eliminated and 250 more captured as prisoners. These numbers represent achievement levels that military historians struggle to explain through conventional analysis. Comparison with other tank aces reveals Pool's extraordinary effectiveness. German panzer commanders like Michael Wittmann achieved fame for destroying dozens of enemy vehicles over months or years of combat. Pool surpassed their records in barely 11 weeks of active fighting, even accounting for differences in equipment availability and tactical situations. His achievement rate exceeded every contemporary standard for armored combat effectiveness. The verification process for Pool's claims followed rigorous military procedures. Each engagement required confirmation from multiple sources: crew members, supporting units, and battlefield evidence. Tank destroyers left burning wrecks that could be photographed and counted, while prisoner captures required documentation for intelligence processing. This verification system makes Pool's record remarkably reliable compared to unsubstantiated claims from other theaters. Technical analysis suggests Pool's success stemmed from perfect coordination between tactical skill and mechanical competence. His Sherman tank maintained higher operational readiness than typical vehicles, allowing participation in more engagements. Additionally, Pool's gunnery accuracy exceeded normal standards significantly. His crew achieved first-round hits against targets that usually required multiple shots to destroy. The strategic impact of Poole's activities extended far beyond individual engagements. German forces devoted disproportionate resources to countering his operations, including repositioning anti-tank units and altering movement schedules to avoid his sector. This defensive response created tactical advantages for other American units, multiplying Poole's effectiveness beyond his direct combat contributions. Military analysts studying Poole's record identify several factors that explain his extraordinary achievement. Superior crew training, exceptional mechanical reliability, innovative tactical methods, and psychological advantages combined to create unprecedented combat effectiveness. However, even accounting for these factors, Poole's success rate suggests capabilities that approached the theoretical maximum for World War II-era tank operations. September 19, 1944, began like countless previous mornings for Poole and his crew. Their Sherman tank moved through Belgian countryside, advancing with American forces pursuing German units retreating toward their homeland. Poole's reputation preceded him. Enemy forces knew to expect exceptional resistance from his sector, while American commanders relied on his unit to spearhead difficult operations. The day's mission involved clearing German positions from a strategic crossroads. Intelligence reports indicated light resistance, mainly rearguard units conducting delaying actions. Poole's tank took point position, leading the formation through terrain that appeared relatively secure. His crew maintained their usual alertness, but the routine nature of recent operations perhaps dulled their edge slightly. German defensive doctrine emphasized mobility and concealment over fixed positions during retreat operations. Well-camouflaged anti-tank guns could inflict severe casualties before withdrawing to new positions. Poole understood these tactics intimately, but the sheer number of engagements he had survived may have created false confidence in his ability to detect every threat. The ambush occurred without warning. A concealed German anti-tank gun, positioned with exceptional skill, waited until Poole's Sherman reached optimal range before opening fire. The projectile penetrated the tank's armor with devastating effect, wounding Poole severely and effectively ending his combat career. In an instant, America's most successful tank commander transformed from hunter to casualty. Poole's injuries included severe leg damage that required amputation, but his crew survived the engagement relatively intact. Medical evacuation procedures, refined through months of combat experience, removed him from the battlefield quickly and provided sophisticated treatment. However, his fighting days had ended permanently. The mechanical precision that made him legendary could not overcome the random mathematics of battlefield survival. The sudden termination of Poole's combat record created an odd historical artifact. His achievement curve showed no decline, no gradual reduction in effectiveness that might suggest approaching limits. Instead, enemy fire interrupted what appeared to be continuing dominance, leaving questions about what additional records he might have established, given more time and opportunity. Poole's journey back to Texas began in military hospitals across Europe and the United States. Rehabilitation from severe combat injuries required months of treatment, during which he adjusted to permanent disability while processing the psychological aftermath of intensive combat experience. The transition from legendary warrior to disabled veteran challenged every aspect of his identity and future planning. The Army recognized Poole's extraordinary service through various decorations and citations, though the full scope of his achievements received limited publicity. Military public relations focused primarily on unit accomplishments rather than individual heroics, particularly for enlisted personnel. Poole returned home with impressive credentials, but little public recognition of his unprecedented combat record. Civilian employment presented significant challenges for someone whose primary skills involved armored warfare. Poole's mechanical background provided some opportunities in automotive and agricultural equipment, though his disability limited physical capabilities. The adjustment from commanding life and death situations to routine mechanical work required substantial psychological adaptation. Marriage and family life offered stability that combat veterans often desperately needed. Poole found companionship with someone who understood the challenges disabled veterans faced, creating a supportive environment for his continued recovery. The responsibilities of family life provided purpose and direction that helped replace the intense focus combat had demanded. Geographic mobility remained limited due to Poole's injuries, keeping him relatively close to his Texas roots. This regional connection helped maintain psychological stability while limiting opportunities for broader recognition of his wartime achievements. Poole seemed content with local recognition rather than national fame, preferring privacy over publicity throughout his post-war years. The veteran community provided Poole with understanding and respect that civilian society often could not offer. Fellow veterans recognized the significance of his combat record, creating informal networks of support and camaraderie. These relationships helped Poole maintain connection to his military identity while building new civilian roles and responsibilities. Poole's remarkable combat record received surprisingly little attention from post-war military historians and popular media. Several factors contributed to this neglect, beginning with the American military's emphasis on unit achievements over individual heroics. The democratic ideal discouraged excessive celebration of personal combat records, particularly for enlisted personnel rather than commissioned officers. Media coverage during and after World War II focused heavily on air combat aces and infantry heroes, partly because their stories translated more easily to civilian audiences. Tank warfare, despite its crucial importance, lacked the dramatic appeal of aerial dogfights or infantry assaults. Poole's mechanical precision and tactical expertise did not generate the narrative excitement that sells books and movie tickets. Timing also worked against Poole's legacy. His greatest achievements occurred during the rapid advance across France, when media attention focused on overall strategic progress rather than individual tactical successes. By contrast, earlier campaigns like North Africa and later battles like the Battle of the Bulge received more detailed coverage that highlighted personal heroism. The truncated nature of Poole's career contributed to his obscurity. Tank aces who fought longer campaigns accumulated more stories and anecdotes that historians could develop into compelling narratives. Poole's 81 days of combat, while extraordinarily productive, provided less biographical material than careers spanning multiple years and theaters. Cultural factors influenced how America remembered its World War II heroes. The national preference for modest, self-effacing warriors favored personalities who downplayed their achievements. Poole's quiet demeanor and reluctance to self-promote aligned with these values, but reduced his visibility in historical accounts that relied on dramatic personal testimonies. Regional bias may have affected Poole's recognition as well. East Coast media and publishing concentrated attention on heroes from more prominent states and urban areas. A Texas farm boy's achievements, regardless of their magnitude, attracted less interest than similar accomplishments by warriors from major metropolitan areas with stronger media connections. Poole's extraordinary combat record inevitably generated skepticism and debate among military historians. Some analysts questioned whether any single tank crew could achieve such devastating effectiveness in mere 81 days of fighting. The verification procedures used during wartime, while rigorous by contemporary standards, lacked the documentation levels that modern researchers prefer. Combat inflation represented a persistent problem during World War II, as units and individuals sometimes exaggerated their achievements for morale and publicity purposes. Poole's claims required particularly careful scrutiny given their exceptional magnitude. However, multiple independent sources corroborated his major engagements, and the verification process involved numerous witnesses whose accounts remained consistent over decades. Equipment reliability questions also surrounded Poole's record. Sherman tanks suffered from mechanical problems that limited their availability for combat operations. Poole's consistent operational readiness suggested either exceptional luck or superior maintenance procedures. His crew's mechanical competence, combined with careful equipment management, provided a rational explanation for their tanks' unusual reliability. Tactical debates focused on Poole's aggressive methods and their sustainability over longer periods. Military theorists argued that his approach involved excessive risks that would eventually result in crew casualties. Poole's injury during his final engagement seemed to validate these concerns, though his record suggested the benefits of aggressive tactics outweighed their dangers. Comparative analysis with other tank aces generated additional controversies. German panzer commanders achieved impressive records against Soviet and Western Allied forces, but operated under different conditions with superior equipment. Poole's achievements occurred while commanding technically inferior vehicles against prepared defensive positions, suggesting his tactical skills exceeded those of more celebrated foreign counterparts. The psychological dimension of Poole's success attracted speculation from military psychologists. His transformation from reluctant draftee to lethal warrior suggested personality factors that researchers found difficult to quantify. Some theories proposed that rural backgrounds and mechanical aptitude created ideal conditions for tank warfare effectiveness, using Poole's record as supporting evidence. Poole's influence on American armored doctrine extended far beyond his individual combat record. Military analysts studied his tactics and methods, incorporating successful elements into training programs for future tank crews. His emphasis on crew coordination, mechanical reliability, and aggressive maneuvering became standard components of American armored warfare instruction. The psychological aspects of Poole's leadership style attracted particular attention from military educators. His ability to maintain crew effectiveness under extreme stress provided valuable insights into combat leadership principles. Training programs began emphasizing the importance of technical competence combined with calm decision-making under pressure. Modern military historians have reassessed Poole's achievements in light of contemporary research methods and broader access to wartime records. Recent scholarship confirms the essential accuracy of his combat claims while providing additional context about the tactical situation he operated within. This research strengthens Poole's reputation rather than diminishing it. Popular culture eventually discovered Poole's story, though decades after his wartime service. Military enthusiasts and gaming communities developed particular interest in his record, creating renewed attention to his achievements. Books, documentaries, and historical simulations began featuring Poole as a representative example of American tank warfare effectiveness. The comparison between Poole's obscurity and the fame of other World War II heroes highlights broader questions about how societies choose to remember their military history. His story suggests that extraordinary individual achievement does not automatically translate into lasting recognition, particularly when cultural and media factors work against preservation of specific narratives. Educational institutions studying military history increasingly include Poole's record as an example of exceptional individual performance within larger organizational contexts. His story provides valuable lessons about leadership, technical competence, and the factors that contribute to combat effectiveness in mechanized warfare environments. Pool's crew members rarely received individual recognition despite their crucial contributions to his success. The tank commander's role, while essential, depended entirely on effective teamwork from gunner, loader, and driver. Each crew position required specialized skills and split-second coordination that made Pool's achievements possible. Interviews conducted with surviving crew members decades after the war revealed additional details about Pool's methods and personality. They described a commander who demanded perfection but shared credit generously, creating loyalty and dedication that enhanced combat performance. Pool's technical knowledge impressed even experienced mechanics, while his tactical instincts seemed almost supernatural. The broader context of 3rd Armored Division operations provides perspective on Pool's individual achievements. His unit participated in some of the war's most decisive campaigns, creating opportunities for exceptional individual performance. However, other tank commanders in similar situations failed to approach Pool's effectiveness, suggesting his success involved factors beyond favorable circumstances. Personal correspondence and diary entries from the period offer insights into Pool's mental state during his remarkable winning streak. He approached each engagement with methodical preparation and professional detachment, treating tank warfare as a technical problem requiring precise solutions rather than a heroic adventure demanding dramatic gestures. The medical records from Pool's final injury provide clinical details about the risks armored personnel faced daily. His wounds, while severe enough to end his combat career, could easily have proved fatal with slightly different circumstances. The randomness of battlefield survival becomes apparent when examining how close Pool came to joining the casualty statistics rather than setting records. Post-war reunions among 3rd Armored Division veterans consistently featured stories about Pool's wartime exploits. His former comrades remained impressed by his achievements decades later, suggesting that time and reflection had not diminished their respect for his capabilities. These veteran testimonials provide additional verification of Pool's extraordinary record. The question of what Pool might have achieved with additional combat time remains unanswerable but intriguing. His effectiveness showed no decline when enemy fire ended his career, suggesting he had not reached the limits of his tactical development. Military analysts can only speculate about the records he might have established given more opportunities. Pool's story ultimately represents the intersection of individual capability, technological resources, and historical circumstances that occasionally produces extraordinary results. His achievements required personal qualities that cannot be trained or manufactured, combined with situations that allowed those qualities to find expression. The rarity of such combinations explains why his record remains unmatched in American armored warfare history. His legacy serves as a reminder that exceptional individuals can emerge from the most ordinary backgrounds when circumstances demand their capabilities. Pool's transformation from Texas farm boy to legendary warrior illustrates the hidden potential that exists within seemingly unremarkable people, waiting for the right moment to reveal itself through extraordinary achievement. The numbers tell only part of Pool's story. Behind the statistics lies a human being who adapted to extreme circumstances with remarkable effectiveness. His record stands as testimony to individual excellence within the broader context of America's World War II victory, representing the countless personal contributions that made that victory possible. German military archives captured after the war revealed an unexpected dimension to Pool's legend: enemy recognition of his exceptional threat to their operations. Wehrmacht intelligence reports from August and September 1944 contain specific references to an American tank operating with unusual effectiveness in 3rd Armored Division sectors. These documents provide rare insight into how German forces perceived individual Allied commanders. A report dated August 28, 1944, from the German 7th Army Intelligence Section describes encounters with an enemy tank unit demonstrating extraordinary tactical proficiency and mechanical reliability. The document notes that American armored formations in specific grid squares achieved disproportionate casualty ratios against our defensive positions, suggesting coordinated operations under exceptional leadership. More revealing are tactical bulletins issued to German anti-tank units operating in Pool's area of operations. One directive warns of American Sherman tank displaying aggressive maneuvering patterns and superior gunnery accuracy, and recommends concentrated fire from multiple positions to ensure destruction. Such specific tactical guidance for dealing with individual enemy vehicles was extremely rare in German military communications. German soldiers developed informal names for threats they encountered repeatedly. Pool's tank earned the nickname Der Teufel von Texas, the Texas Devil, among Wehrmacht units that survived encounters with his crew. This designation appeared in several captured diary entries and prisoner interrogation reports, indicating widespread recognition of Pool's effectiveness at the tactical level. Intelligence assessments revealed German attempts to predict Pool's operational patterns. Enemy commanders noted his preference for flanking maneuvers and his crew's exceptional maintenance standards, which kept their tank operational when other American vehicles suffered mechanical failures. One report specifically mentions the unusual longevity of Pool's vehicle compared to typical Sherman reliability rates. The German 74th Corps issued orders in early September 1944, redirecting anti-tank resources to sectors where Pool's unit operated. This redeployment involved moving valuable self-propelled guns and experienced crews from other defensive positions, suggesting Pool's activities significantly influenced German tactical planning at the corps level. Prisoner interrogation reports provide additional evidence of Pool's reputation among German troops. Captured soldiers frequently mentioned encountering the American tank that never misses, and described elaborate tactical measures their units employed to avoid engagement with Pool's crew. These testimonies suggest Pool's psychological impact extended beyond his immediate tactical effects. Perhaps most significantly, German engineering units received orders to place additional obstacles and mining patterns in areas where Pool's tank had previously operated successfully. These defensive improvements required substantial resources and engineering time, indicating that German commanders considered Pool's threat serious enough to justify major fortification efforts. Pool's correspondence with his family provides intimate glimpses into the psychological reality behind his legendary combat record. Military censorship limited what soldiers could communicate about their experiences, but careful reading of surviving letters reveals the emotional cost of Pool's extraordinary effectiveness in battle. Early letters from France maintain optimistic tones typical of military correspondence. Pool describes the French countryside in positive terms, mentions good food when available, and reassures his family about his safety and health. However, subtle changes in his writing style suggest the psychological impact of repeated combat exposure was affecting his worldview significantly. By August 1944, Pool's letters begin reflecting the emotional complexity of his situation. He writes about mechanical problems with affection for his tank that borders on personal attachment, describing "In the Mood" as a trusted friend rather than military equipment. This anthropomorphization suggests the intense bond that develops between crews and their vehicles during extended combat operations. Military censorship created ingenious methods for communicating forbidden information. Pool's letters contain references to hunting and mechanical work that likely described combat experiences using familiar metaphors his family would understand. Discussions of fixing broken equipment and successful hunting trips probably conveyed information about tank battles and enemy casualties. The psychological burden of Poole's success appears indirectly in letters discussing his crew's welfare. He frequently mentions the importance of teamwork and expresses concern for his men's safety, suggesting that leadership responsibilities weighed heavily on his conscience. The knowledge that his tactical decisions affected other people's survival created pressure that few 25-year-olds could handle easily. Religious references increase in Poole's later correspondence, particularly after major engagements. He mentions attending chaplain services and requests prayers from family members, indicating that combat experience was affecting his spiritual perspective. These religious elements contrast with the mechanical precision that made him so effective as a warrior. Family responses to Poole's letters reveal growing concern about changes in his personality. His relatives noticed increasingly terse communication styles and apparent difficulty expressing emotions about his experiences. The gap between Poole's legendary status and his personal struggles becomes apparent through this correspondence, humanizing the statistical achievements that define his military record. The final letters before his wounding contain subtle fatalism that suggests Poole understood the mathematical inevitability of casualty rates. He begins mentioning other crew members more frequently and expresses gratitude for experiences he might not have appreciated earlier. This correspondence provides evidence that even the most successful warriors recognized the random nature of battlefield survival. Poole's extraordinary combat record inevitably attracts skepticism from military historians and enthusiasts who question whether any individual could achieve such devastating effectiveness in so brief a period. The debate over Poole's statistics reflects broader controversies about combat reporting accuracy during World War II and the challenges of verifying individual achievements decades after the fact. Contemporary verification procedures for tank crew claims followed established military protocols designed to prevent fraudulent reporting. Each engagement required confirmation from multiple independent sources: crew members, supporting infantry, other tank commanders, and physical evidence of destroyed enemy equipment. Poole's claims survived this verification process consistently, suggesting systematic accuracy rather than exaggeration. However, modern researchers note several factors that could contribute to statistical inflation. Combat situations create confusion that makes accurate counting difficult. Destroyed vehicles might be counted multiple times by different observers, and crew members under extreme stress might misidentify targets or overestimate damage inflicted. These factors affect all combat statistics, but become particularly significant when individual records reach exceptional levels. Comparison with other tank aces provides context for evaluating Poole's achievements. German panzer commanders like Kurt Knispel and Otto Carius achieved impressive records over much longer periods, suggesting that Poole's rate of destruction was unprecedented rather than his total numbers. This comparison supports arguments that Poole's statistics, while extraordinary, fall within plausible ranges for exceptional performers. Technical analysis of Poole's claimed effectiveness reveals some questionable elements. Sherman tank ammunition loads limited the number of targets that could be engaged during single missions, and mechanical reliability issues should have restricted operational availability. Poole's consistent participation in multiple engagements per day suggests either exceptional luck or superior maintenance procedures that other crews could not replicate. The verification process itself contained potential flaws that might have contributed to statistical inflation. Multiple tank crews operating in the same area could claim credit for identical targets, particularly when battles involved complex maneuvering and limited visibility. Poole's aggressive tactics placed his tank in positions where such confusion was most likely to occur. Psychological factors may have influenced both Poole's claims and their verification. The pressure to maintain unit morale and justify casualties created incentives for accepting optimistic battle reports. Poole's reputation for accuracy might have reduced scrutiny of his later claims, allowing potential errors to accumulate over time without detection. Documentary evidence supporting Poole's record includes photographs of destroyed German vehicles, prisoner interrogation reports, and captured enemy equipment. However, linking specific destruction to individual crews requires assumptions that modern researchers find questionable. The fog of war makes definitive attribution extremely difficult, even with comprehensive documentation. Recent scholarship suggests that Poole's record, while possibly inflated in specific details, accurately reflects exceptional combat effectiveness. The broad outline of his achievements, rapid advancement across France, numerous successful engagements, devastating impact on German operations, appears well documented through multiple independent sources that would be difficult to falsify systematically. The controversy ultimately highlights the challenges of measuring individual performance in complex military operations. Poole's legend may contain elements of myth, but the underlying reality of extraordinary effectiveness seems well supported by available evidence. Whether his exact statistics are accurate matters less than the documented impact his crew had on the course of operations in their sector of the European theater.